I'd like to switch now to a gentleman in the investment sector, Plori Capital Consulting, Mr. Vergotis. You probably deal with banks every day, and as an investor, how do you see the situation here, and if you see the same signs of optimism as our first two speakers?
Thank you, Bill. Thanks everybody for being here. I think overall I would agree with the tone set by the earlier two speakers, Mr. Paschalis and Mr. Sinopoulos. I think the most important message is that, from my point of view, this is we see improving environment for investments in Romania. So we've been in Romania actively investing since 2004. We invest in two primary areas, and those are the two areas that I can speak for. I can only speak for the stuff that I have some understanding and some experience. So we chose to focus on the capital markets and the residential sector, on housing, because we saw tremendous potential for new units and more space per person. On the capital market side, I think most of the audience will have be familiar that in March, in euro terms, the way we measure the market, the broad market, we saw a rebound of about 31% in euro terms, and another 27 on top of that in April. It's still going in the early part of May. You know, I say, make me a profit and I will make everybody rich here. So you never know. But we started, our first cycle of investment was in 2004, and we exited end of 2006, 2007 completely. We thought prices had reached a very high level and were not justified by the fundamentals, other than people's euphoria and psychology about joining the EU and everything else. But when everybody's positive and when everybody's optimistic, that's a good time to sell. And this is what we did. On the other side, when everybody's fearful, that's the time to enter the market. And we started entering the market at the end of October. And since the valuations were completely ridiculous in any kind of measure, and I couldn't really decide how to approach this, I used a very simple rule. Every Wednesday around noon, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, we were buying the select stocks, select sectors that we thought would rebound significantly. And we kept on buying until the end of February. And you know the result. I think now there's going to be a mild correction. We have seen the early signs of that. But the market on the investment side is shallow in Romania. It's not a huge market. Yesterday I had the luck to participate at an ING private banking conference. And I asked their chief investment strategist from Amsterdam, what does he know about Romania? And he said, to be honest, nothing, because the market's too little. We have more funds than the market can absorb, so we do not bother. That was two things. First of all, I was so surprised by the answer. That's very typical of all the large investment funds. Second of all, for people with sums anywhere from 50 to 200,000 euros, that's fantastic news, because it means that the market is not monitored by professionals. And this rebound that we saw was almost entirely driven by the Romanian retail investor, and was entirely driven by what was happening in the international markets. So Mr. Paschalis said that Mr. Bernanke, is the tsar of the world economy. Actually, sentiment plays a huge role, and on the wave of the overall positive sentiment, we've seen both the lira rebound and we saw the stock market rebound. Things will not go like that forever. We'll see a correction, and it will be another good time to buy in. And especially, I agree with Mr. Sinopoulos, there are some positive signs in the past 5 months, starting from November. And I look at the Romanian trade deficit, which is also import and exports, which particularly the imports are a surrogate for the amount of consumption happening in the Romanian economy. Consumption is about 50% here of the economy. So, but we need another 3 to 4 months before we can confirm a positive trend. But the trade deficit has significantly dramatically corrected, and that's fantastic news for the country. We still think that some valuations are attractive. Some others have gone a little bit ahead of themselves. So again, if you ask me personally and on behalf of 2 clients, we started reducing positions. But overall, we're very, very bullish. On the real estate market, a lot of people, I can only speak about residential because this is what we focus. And we focus on residential. Why? Because it is the most liquid market, or it has the potential to be the most liquid of any other sector. You have millions and millions of people who do lots and lots of transactions. The big office transactions, the big industrial transactions, the big malls are few and far between by large developers. But every one of us here has a home, has a need for a home, and every one of us has a dream for a better home. So this is why we chose to focus on that sector. We started investing in 2005, and we stopped buying and looking at the end of the first semester of 2007, when we thought that prices were exceedingly high. Here, due to the only, I would say, 15 years of experience, and because everybody has a house, they think they understand the principles of investing in the housing market. They're 2 totally different things. But again, I would say, as Mr. Tsinopoulos said, that we have seen probably the largest part of the correction. Our own estimates, and I always try to be conservative, because if things turn out bad, we're prepared. And if things do not turn out as bad, we have a pleasant surprise and a gift. So for Bucharest, which is where we focus entirely, because it represents about 40% of Romanian GDP, the fair price, in my mind, for, let's say, a garsoniera is around 30,000 euros. Fair price for a 2-room apartment, around 55,000 euros, and 75,000 for a 3-room apartment. And we're discussing that a couple of nights ago with Mr. Vergotis at dinner. And I use pretty conservative assumptions when I give you those examples. These are based on mortgages, 25-year mortgages with 8 to 8.5% rates, which are more than safe for most banks, I think, over that time frame. It gives them enough margin to make it a profitable proposition. And for the garsoniera, a payment of 175 euros per month, which I think most people would afford to pay. So for all of you who may have the interest or who may follow the market every now and again, right now, if you go at Anunțul.ro or Immobiliar.ro, you will find that a lot of, you will find garsoniera at that price range, approaching 30,000, some even lower, older ones. And the same thing for the 3 segments that I said. Having said that, will the prices go lower? I think they will. Why? Because it's human nature. And right now that investors, like a lot of the audience, and like myself, when we see that the market is fearful, all we have to do is just sit back and wait. And I had, just before the meeting started, I was given a very good example of just that by Mr. Tsinopoulos' son, who's telling me a story. If you just wait and do nothing, people will just have a desperate need to sell. They will give you a lower price without even asking. So, in the investment market, whether it's stocks or whether it's residential real estate where we focus, prices are like the pendulum. The pendulum goes from one extreme to the other. The equilibrium point is the middle, but prices go to that equilibrium point at the maximum speed. So the maximum speed of housing drops happened in really the first quarter here, I would say, in a very visible way. Now we'll see acceleration of the price decrease, and I expect the bottom to happen at the end of this year, maybe beginning of next year. From our point of view, we were unfortunate that although we stopped buying in 2007, some brand new units we had, and I'm perfectly honest, because I think the forum here is to honestly share our experiences. We got delivery a little bit late at the end of